Welcome back, and good evening, everyone. Kinda jarring to see that the first card that would arise is Wheel of Fortune, but we will see how tonight goes. For now, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Tarot Thursday. For those returning, welcome home, and for those finding this space for the first time, settle in. This is a place where we slow things down for a moment, not to predict the future, but to reflect on the path we're walking. Every Thursday, we draw six calls to the ether, six moments to reflect that may resonate with where you are in your life right now. Take what resonates and leave what doesn't. And remember, this reading is more than just about faith, they're about perspective. Tonight's theme is mental health check in. Because sometimes the most important thing we can do is pause. Pause long enough to ask ourselves, how are we really doing? And tonight, calls the ether focuses on something deeper: identity, healing, letting go of the past, and remembering that you are not your mistake. You survive. So take a breath. Let the noise of the day settle for a moment. And let's see what Alex wants to say tonight. Just wanted to check in. Is everything running well? It is. Perfection. Okay. Let me go ahead and check on Twitch. Hopefully, it is running on Twitch properly as well. Oh no. The candle light decided to turn itself off. Sad. But that's okay. That's alright. Okay. In Twitch, we seem to be running well, so that's okay. Let's go ahead and settle down. And let's get ready for it, shall we? For the first call itself. Tonight, as I've said, we have six ether calls that if one of them resonates with your situation, your emotion, or your current chapter in life, then that message may be meant for you. Now, let's begin, shall we? This particular call is for the ones learning that they are not their past. See, you remember mistakes. You remember the moments you wish you had handled differently. But memory is meant to teach, not to imprison. Growth does not erase the past, it transforms how you see it personally. It transforms how the past lives inside you. Now, if you've been struggling to forgive the person you used to be, this may be for you. Is all are all the cards arranged properly? No. Okay. Is it the first one was wrong? No. How about the second one? No. Gotta be the last then, right? Hmm. This is the cards. Okay, never mind. Alex might be a tad bit wobbly, but let's see. Go ahead and ask again. This is the cards. There we go. These are the cards. Thank you, Alex. First card is Two of Wands. Second card, King of Cups, reverse. Last but not the least, oof. Three of Swords, reverse. Let's see how we could channel this into a message, shall we? Let's open this one very carefully. These cards in and of itself carry a lot of compassion. So, this is how it goes. The Two of Wands is a card that is looking forward. It represents standing at a crossroads and realizing that the future is still something you yourself can shape. But in this context, it also hints that a part of you may still be hesitating. Not because you don't know what direction you want to go, no, but because the past still whispers doubt about whether you deserve to go there. These cards remind you that your past decisions informed who you are, but they didn't define you permanently. Now, the King of Cups reverse often points to an emotional imbalance, a unresolved feelings, to put it bluntly. Sometimes it appears when someone is still carrying emotional weight they haven't fully processed yet. Now, this can show up as being overly hard on yourself, which is most of us are guilty of. Suppressing difficult emotions, making us emotionally constipated, and feeling like you should have known better in the past. But, friend, emotional maturity doesn't mean never making mistakes. It means learning how to hold compassion for yourself while you grow beyond them. Now, lastly, the Three of Swords. Now, this card is healing from old pain. Upright, the Three of Swords represent a heartbreak. In reverse, it shows the process of recovery. The pain may not be completely gone yet. Honestly, no one can really tell you when will it be gone. But eventually it loses its grip on you. You may already be further along in your healing than you realize. Sometimes the hardest part is letting yourself believe that healing is allowed. Always will be. Now, the message of this spread suggests that the past is still influencing how you see yourself. But the cards here shows movement. Healing is already happening and the future represented but the Two of Wands is still wide open, just like a goal post in football. Your past is a chapter. Please remember, it's not the whole story. Now, if you've been looking back at your past self with criticism and harsh language, if you've been wondering whether you should have done better, then yes, this message is definitely for you. Thank you, Alex, for that riveting start. Good evening, Rain. Now, this next chapter, or this next call to the ether, is for the ones carrying expectations that were never theirs to begin with. I repeat, this is for the ones carrying expectations that were never there to begin with. See, some burdens are inherited. Family expectations, cultural pressures, roles you stepped into long before you understood them. But responsibility and identity are not the same thing, my friend. You are allowed to examine the life you were handed. That's how you make better decisions and decide what parts are truly yours. Now, if you're questioning whether the path you're on was chosen or assigned, this may be for you. Alex, show us the way. Is this all the cards? Is this the right orientation of the cards? No. The first one? No. Second one, that's wrong? Yes. Okay. Is the last one correct? No. Are they all not the correct orientation? No. Level with me, Alex. I ask again, are they all in the correct orientation? No. First one. Second one. It's the last? That bit chaotic. Tends to remind us that tomorrow is another Friday the 13th. Energy in and of itself is kind of fluctuating. There we go. Okay, it's all correct. Had to do a little bit of convincing there, but it's all good now. 1 second. There we go. Okay. First card is Five of Swords reverse. Next card. Oof. Hanged Man reverse. And the last, Knight of Pentacles upright. I thought this would be the first full reverse spread of the night, but alas, it is not. Let's see the message of this spread, shall we? See, the card here speaks of releasing conflict and changing perspective, reclaiming agency over your own path. The Five of Swords reverse often appears when someone is stepping away from an unnecessary conflict. In this context, the conflict may not always be the loud arguments. Sometimes, sometimes it's quieter. Hmm. Sorry about that. A bit quiet here, I'm not sure. Changing perspectives, yes. Sorry, that got me shuffled there, but yes. Internal pressure to meet expectation. The feeling that disappointing someone equals to failure and carrying responsibility that were never fully yours to begin with. Now reverse this card suggests that part of you is beginning to realize that not every battle needs to be fought. And every expectation, and of course, not every expectation needs to be fulfilled. Sometimes peace comes from putting down the burden that was never meant for you. Now the Hangman reverse. See, the Hangman primarily is about perspective. Reverse, it often signals that the moment where a long period of reflection is ending. You may have spent a long time trying to see things from everyone else's point of view, your family, your culture, your community. But the Hangman reverse represents the moment when you begin asking the different questions. What do I actually want? See, it's a shift from passive acceptance to active self awareness. And the Knight of Pentacles? The Knight of Pentacles represents slow and steady progress built on practical decisions and personal commitment. Unlike dramatic leaps or rebellions, this card suggests something quieter but stronger. You don't have to destroy the life you were given. You simply need to start shaping it. Shaping its way, shaping its path that aligns with your own value. The Knight of Pentacles says that the a meaningful change often happens through consistent and grounded choices made over time. The message of this full spread suggests that you may be standing on the edge of realization, that some expectations were inherited, but your life is still yours to build. You can keep what aligns with you and gently release what doesn't. If you have been questioning whether the life you've been living was chosen by you or simply handed to you, then yes, this message may be for you. Thank you, Alex, for that message. This next one. This next one is for the ones rebuilding their self-identity. Emphasis on the rebuilding. See, sometimes life disrupts the version of yourself you thought you understood. A job ends. a relationship change, a dream evolves, and suddenly you're asking a quiet but powerful question. Who am I now? See, identity is not something you discovered once. It's something you build many times, again and again and again, until you find yourself now to a proper identity. Now, if you feel like you are redefining yourself lately, this may be for you. Let's go, Alex. Hmm. Are all the cards in order, Alex? Yes. Thank you, Alex. First card. Ooh. Eight of Cups. Second card. Four of Four of Wands. Reverse. And lastly, oof. Wow, okay. Judgment. Upright. This seems a bit heavy, but bear with me. Let me go ahead and interpret this message to you. See, again, this read is for the ones rebuilding their self identity. This is one with care, and this card speaks of living, destabilization, and awakening. So let's go ahead and unravel this one softly. The Eight of Cups is a card of walking away from something that once held meaning. Not all the times out of anger, not all the times out of failure, but honestly, sometimes it's something inside you recognizing that the emotional chapter has reached its natural conclusion. This card often appears when someone realizes that the person they were no longer fits the person they are becoming. Now, leaving doesn't mean the past was wasted. No. It means you've outgrown the space you once stood in. Now, the Four of Wands in reverse represents something else. Because normally, this represents stability, belonging, a sense of home. Reverse, it signals a moment where that foundation feels shaken or uncertain. The places, roles that once felt secure may no longer feel as solid as they used to. This can feel disorienting, but sometimes that instability is necessary. Because before something new can be built, the old structure, the old structure has to loosen its hold. Now, Judgment is one of the most powerful cards of self-realization and awakening. It represents the moment where you see yourself clearly, past, present, and future, and recognize that you are allowed to answer a new calling, not the calling others placed onto you, but the one that comes from within. The judgment card is more of a rebirth, not becoming someone else, but becoming more fully yourself. The message, as the spread suggests, is that you may be standing in the middle of an identity shift. Yes. Some things must be left behind. Something familiar may feel unstable. But something new is calling for your attention. Rebuilding yourself is not starting from nothing. It's building forward with everything you've learned. If you've been asking yourself, who are you becoming? If the old version of you no longer feels complete, then yes, this message may be for you. Thank you, Alex. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and take a pause here for just a moment. Now, if tonight's reading have resonated with you so far, consider sharing the stream or following the channel. It helps the space reach more people who might need moments like this in their week. And I also offer private readings for those looking for personal guidance, so feel free to reach out if that is something you are interested in. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue with the remaining ether calls. Stay with us. Okay. And just like that, we are back. Welcome back. Now, if you're just joining us tonight, is our Tarot Thursday mental health check-in. 6 ether calls focused on healing, identity, and moving forward. Now, we've completed the first three, and now we are moving into the remaining messages. Let's shift right into it, shall we? This next one is for the ones learning that healing is not linear. I repeat, leaning or leaning. Just 1 second. Once again, this spread is for the ones who's just learning that healing is not linear. Some day feels strong. Some days feels heavy again. Progress doesn't always look like a forward motion. Sometimes progress looks like rest, or patience, or simply surviving a difficult day. Healing is not a straight road, it's a winding path that pauses along the way. Now, if you've ever been frustrated that your growth feels slower than you hope, then maybe this is for you. Oh, okay. Hmm. Are all of these cards in the right position? Yes, they are. Thank you, Alex. The first card, King of Cups. Upright. Well, the second card, as you could see, the Lovers. And the last, wow, a positive outlook. 10 of Cups. Upright. As we could see, this read or the spread in it of itself kinda ooze positivity. Let's channel this, shall we? Here. The King of Cups represent, obviously, emotional balance and maturity. This isn't someone who never feels pain. It's someone who has learned to hold emotion without being overwhelmed by it. When this card appears in a healing context, it often suggests that the work you've been doing internally is slowly strengthening your emotional foundation. You may not always see dramatic change day to day, but your ability to understand the process and regulate your emotions is quietly growing into something profound. Now, that is a real progress. Now, the Lovers itself is a card often associated with the relationships, but it's a deeper level. But its deeper level represents alignment and meaningful choice. See, in a healing reading such as this card right here can represent a choice you are learning to make repeatedly, more of a pattern. See, the choice to treat yourself with compassion, the choice to move forward towards a healthier connection, the choice to listen to what your heart actually needs. Now, healing often asks us to choose differently than we did before, and those choices gradually reshaped our lives. Now, the Ten of Cups represents emotional fulfillment and long term harmony. That sounds wonderful right there. It's a kind of peace that grows over time when life begins to align with an emotional truth, your emotional truth. Now, in the context of healing, this card is a reminder that the work you're doing now, even when it feels slow, is leading towards a future where your emotional world feels more stable and authentic. As I've said, healing may not be linear, but it can still lead somewhere beautiful. It always does. The message of the spread suggests that your healing journey may already be moving in the right direction, even if it doesn't feel always like that. See, emotional balance is developing, healthier choices are being made, and possibly a deeper emotional fulfillment has been planted and growing. See, the road may twist and pause, but it's still moving forward. Now, if you've been wondering whether your healing is taking too long, if you've been questioning whether the progress you've made really counts, then yes, this message may be for you. Thank you, Alex, for that wonderful spread. Now, this next one. This next one is for the ones realizing their worth was never lost. See, self worth can become quiet, when life honestly becomes way too loud. Criticism, failure, rejection. See, over time, these voices can start sounding like truth, just like the sensation you get when you're doom scrolling. But worth is not something that disappears when life becomes difficult. Sometimes it simply becomes buried beneath the experience. See, if you've been trying to remember what makes you valuable again, this may be for you. all the cards in the proper order, Alex. No, is the right. Is the first card the wrong one? Yes. Okay. This is okay. Right? Yep. There we go. Thank you, Alex. First card, Ace of Pentacles. Second card, oh, Ten of Cups. And the last one, Five of Wands reverse. Now, we could see here, initially, by the looks of it, because of the Ten of Cups, it has a good symbolizing factor immediately. Now let's see. As we open this interpretation, these cards carry a tone of renewal, emotional fulfillment, and the internal struggle. See, the Ace of Pentacles represents a new beginning, grounded in reality. It's like you're planting something into loam soil. Unlike a sudden inspiration or an emotional high, this card right here speaks of something tangible, an opportunity to rebuild confidence in practical ways. This could be myriads of things. A new opportunity, a small but meaningful step forward, the beginning of rebuilding stability. In context of self-worth, Ace of Pentacles suggests that life may be quietly offering you a fresh foundation, a chance to see yourself not through past failures, but through present potential. Now, the Ten of Cups represents deep emotional fulfillment and harmony. As I've said to you before, it's a vision of a life where emotional connection and personal values, and inner peace included, begins to align. Now, when paired with Ace of Pentacles, it suggests that you're rebuilding your sense-worth may lead to a future that feels far more emotionally authentic than one you've been questioning. This card reminds you that happiness often grows from self-acceptance and genuine connection, not perfection. In the end, the Five of Wands reverse signals an end of unnecessary conflict. See, sometimes the conflict is not external, but very often it's internal. It's the voice that compares you, yourself, to others. The voice that insists that you should have done more, achieved more, been more. Now, reverse, this card suggests that the struggle against fighting yourself may have finally begin to quiet down. And what happens next when that internal noise fades? Something important becomes easier to hear. Your own self-worth. This spread suggests that your value was never erased by the challenges you faced. Life may now be opening doors, for a new chapter. One where you see yourself with greater compassion, greater clarity. The struggle to prove your worth may be ending, and it's in its place that something steadier can grow. Now, again, if you've been trying to remember the version of yourself that believes in your own value, If you've been searching for the proof that you still matter, then yes, this message may be for you. Thank you, Alex. And thank you, Rain, for reminding me that I am still human and I need to drink water. Now, we're on to our last call. And this one might cut for those who feel like this will hit them. This spread is for the ones choosing to move forward anyway. You may not have all the answers. You may still be carrying uncertainty. But something inside you is beginning to say, enough standing still. Moving forward doesn't require perfect clarity. It requires courage. Small step counts. Quiet determination counts. Even deciding to try again counts. Now, if you feel the spark of movement returning into your life, this may be for you. Showing good progress immediately. Queen of Wands is the first card. They all in order, Alex. Thank you. Second card. Four of Cups. Upright. The last card. Ooh, interesting. Strength. Reverse. I feel like this in and of itself shows vulnerability. But let's see. Even beyond what this shows us. This spread is something steady and encouraging. Reclaiming a confidence, breaking emotional stagnation, and maybe finding strength even when you don't fully feel ready. Now, here. The Queen of Wands represents confidence, self-belief, and personal power. This is the energy of someone who knows their value and isn't afraid to step into a space they deserve. But in context, the Queen of Wands may represent something that's reawakening within you. Perhaps you once carried the confidence naturally. Perhaps life deemed it for a while. But the spark is still there. This card suggests that your inner fire, the part of you that believes you can build something meaningful, is beginning to return. Now, the Four of Cups represents emotional stagnation or distraction. It's the feeling of being stuck in contemplation, unsure whether to move forward or remain where you are. Sometimes this card appears when someone has been waiting for the right moment for a long time. But Four of Cups reminds us that opportunities sometimes appear quietly. And if we stay focused, too focused on what hasn't worked before, you just might miss it. With that said, strength, reverse, often speak to self doubt or feeling emotionally worn down. And honestly, it doesn't mean you lack strength. It means you may not fully recognize how much strength you've already shown. Strength in tarot isn't about force. No, rarely is. It's about patience, resilience, and the quiet ability to keep going even when things feel uncertain. Now reverse here. Now, the card gently reminds you that courage doesn't always feel powerful. In the moment, of course. Sometimes courage simply looks like trying again. The message here is this. The spread suggests that even if you're still carrying doubt, something inside you is already ready to move again. Your confidence may not feel complete, your path may not be fully clear, but the spark of determination is already returning. And sometimes, that alone is the forward motion you need. Now, if you've been feeling the first quiet urge to move forward again, if you're beginning to believe that trying one more time might be possible, then yes, this message may be for you. Thank you, Alex. For now, Alex would love to take a break and will be returning short after for the next segment. Now, as I've said, if tonight's reading have resonated with you so far, consider sharing the stream or following the channel. It helps the space to reach more people who might need a moment like this in their week. I also, as I've said before, offer private readings for those looking for more personal guidance. So feel free to reach out if that's something you're interested in. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll go on with After the Flames. With the topic, why humans seek meaning in coincidence. Welcome back. So, we now shift gears. Now, every week after the cards itself have been read, we step something into a little different. A place where we take curiosity seriously. Sorry. I might need that water. Give me a second. There we go. So, going back, we here we are where we examine mysteries, strange experience, folklore, psychology, and the things people don't always know how to talk about. This is the part of the night where we call after the flames. Because once the flames of assumption has burned away, what remains should be clarity. And in tonight's question is something many people have experienced at least once in their life. Coincidence. Moments that feel strangely timed. Moments that feel meaningful. But are they? Tonight we're exploring why humans seek meaning in coincidence. So, why do humans begin why do human beings look for meaning in coincidence? Is it intuition? Is it psychology? Pattern recognition maybe? Or something else entirely? Let me ask you something. Have you ever experienced a coincidence that felt too perfect to ignore? Because as a human being, we are all built to detect patterns. See, long before modern civilization, recognizing pattern meant survival. Our ancestors needed to notice things like footprints on dirt, changes in animal behavior, unusual sounds in the forest. Now, the brain evolves to constantly scans for connections like such as this. In neuroscience, the ability or disability is sometimes referred to as pattern recognition. It helps us learn language, recognize faces, and understand the world as is. But it also means something else. Sometimes the brain detects patterns even when none actually exist. Psychologist calls this phenomena apophonia. Sorry, I hope I said it right. Apophenia, my bad. See, apophenia is a tendency to perceive meaningful connection between unrelated events. It's the same reason people see faces in clouds or shapes in shadows. Now, the brain is simply doing what it's evolved to do, trying to make sense of the environment. Now, on that note itself, do you think coincidence are purely random? Or do you think events carry meaning? See, here, a specific type of apophenia is called pareidolia. Now, this happens when the brain interprets a vague stimuli as something familiar. See,
the weirdness of itself. As an example, is seeing a face on the moon, hearing hidden noises in random noises itself, or sorry, hearing hidden messages in random noises, and the interpretation of shadow figures. As we discussed last week, it's part of the apophenia. Now, pareidolia shows you how strongly our minds prefer recognizable pattern over randomness. See, when information is incomplete, the brain fills in the blank, and sometimes those blanks becomes stories. Now, I think I've asked this last week, briefly as it is, but have you ever seen a shape or shadow that looked like something else until you look closer? Now, again, coincidence isn't only about visual patterns. See what I did there? Emotions plays a huge role. When something happens during an emotionally significant moment, the brain becomes much more likely to assign a meaning to it. For example, you think someone you haven't spoken to in years. You think about them. And then that day they call you. Objectively, that could be random. But emotionally, it feels like manifestation, meaningful. Now, again, approaching it this scientifically, psychologists suggest that the brain prioritizes emotionally relevant coincidence, making them easier to remember. Meanwhile, the thousands of times of coincidence that don't seem to matter are quickly forgotten. Now, this is confirmation bias in and of itself, but we remember what hits and forget the misses. But again, this is all science, right? See, do you remember that coincidence that happened during an important moment in your life? See, throughout history, culture have interpreted coincidence in many ways. In traditions, some call them signs, some call them synchronicities, others divine message, and in the end of the day, as I was doing, spiritual guidance. One of the most famous psychological interpretation came from Carl Jung, who introduced the concept of synchronicity. Jung described synchronicity as meaningful coincidence that feels connected even when no casual relationship exists. Importantly, Jung did not dismiss these experiences. No, as we are trying to do here, we are not. We are not dismissing those relevant moments that really synchronize with what had happened before. It's more of, again, as a cultural interpretation and how it's scientifically defined. Instead, of course, he believed that they reveal something about the relationship between human mind and the world around it. Whether synchronicity is psychological or something more mysterious remains to be debated even today. Let me ask, which side are you in? Because if you ask me right now, I'd fall onto the idea of synchronicity all the time, always. There are many people that would tell you you attract what you want. But in what way? Right? So, here. There was this moment in my life where coincidence felt so precise. So perfectly timed that it made me pause and wonder, what? I rarely get that sensation. The old folks would call it the danger sense. Have you ever seen your grandparents just go to the window and says, "There's danger afoot. There's a storm coming. Don't go." Yo, if you ask me right now, I treat that thing like gospel. Like they know something more than we do. And all of that is based on personal biases. But in my instance, in it of itself, I get that feeling too. There was this one time that that dream that you're not supposed to share, I ignored it and shared it anyway. Not a moment goes by that after me sharing that dream that should not be shared, a call, perfectly timed, was made. The person I was sharing that to received the call and answered. And just that moment, they felt like water washed them. A cold water flowed onto them. It was a news that someone passed away. Oddly, perfectly timed, if you ask me. And ever since then, I never really squashed that thought. Maybe that dream should not be shared. Coincidence? I think not. Because that would have happened in it of itself once, and I would really just call it coincidence. But then again, it happening more than twice is no longer just coincidence. But in it of itself, as a full on occurrence, it feels like it's just supposed to be a coincidence. See, that in it of itself reveals another question. As I'm trying to tell you this, I'ma ask to you, what's the most unusual coincidence you have experienced? But yeah, in the end, humans are meaning making creatures, you know? We don't just experience events, we interpret them. Meaning provides comfort, direction, and identity. When life feels chaotic, sorry, when life feels chaotic, coincidence can feel like reassurance that events might be connected somehow, even when explanation exists. The emotional impact remains powerful. And perhaps that's the most important part. Not whether the coincidence was supernatural, but the experience revealed about how we search for meaning. So, in the end of the day, coincidence sit coincidences sit in that interesting space. See? Very much of a coincidence, or was it a sign? The synchronicity shows you things too. That in the end, as I've said, coincidence sits on that interesting space. They exist somewhere between psychology and mystery. Science explains much how our brains interpret patterns, but the experience itself of coincidence, the feeling that something meaningful just happened, is still very, very real. And perhaps the real lesson isn't to dismiss those moments, but to approach them with curiosity, to ask questions, to reflect, to understand ourselves better. Now, and if anything, that's where we're gonna leave things tonight. Not with certainty, but with curiosity. After all, the world is full of patterns. Some we understand, some we're still learning to interpret, and some may simply remind us that the human mind is always, will be, searching for meaning. After the flames of assumption burns away, what remains should be clarity. What remains should be curiosity. And what remains should be discernment. This has been After the Flames. Thank you for spending your evening here. If tonight's conversation sparks something in your mind, consider sharing the stream and following the channel. We read the cards, we investigate the mysteries, and until all together, we keep asking better questions. Until next time. Wherever world you return into, do stay kind and stay curious in the end. That will be all.